I am here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Chat with Matt. It is the 21st of August 2019 here in New Zealand. Wednesday morning. I'm just checking out who's written in. I thought I saw a little notification that someone had, but then it wasn't there. So I have a feeling it might be in a different place because I posted it to two things. So I just need to go to the Mantara Big Love and Support community and check it out. There we go. Sister Emily Rose has There we go. It's funny how it tends to do that when you're on cellular network. It decides it's a poor connection at first and then it settles into it. Anyway, there we go. It's just showing me that I am on live in the corner of my little MacBook screen. So here we are, my friends. It's Chat with Matt, 30 minutes to shoot the breeze. I'm very, very happy for any of you. Hey, Sister Emily. Any of you to write in. Hey, Sister Robin Hall, welcome. So yeah, please, if you have a question, if you have a comment on anything that I'm saying or anything else for that matter, just don't be shy, type it in. I am going to talk to a point that Emily has raised, and so we will get into it, right? And we'll see how it unfolds. Okay, so here's what Emily wrote. I had an experience that showed me I have this situation going on in me that's a bit of a catch-22. It felt good to see it, and I feel very emotionally fragile as well. Many emotions in the depressed, anxious range. I've been feeling quite a few of those. Yeah, you just lost the post. I've lost a few things lately. I'm out here because my other computer decided to shit itself this morning, not in a terminal way. I don't think. It's just doing updates and whatnot and seems to have stalled on them. So we'll see what that means. So I've come out here to my other computer, my other room. Change of scenery, change as good as a holiday. Anyway, so lots of emotions coming out for Emily in the depressed, anxious range. I've had quite a few lately as well, triggered by a few different things happening that has left me facing quite a bit of my not good enough, not worthy energy. So whatever's happening, there's a lot happening. Whatever's happening is a lot of it. It's intense. Anyway, what happened was I was talking to the shop owner casually before my first one-on-one and noticed that in a few sentences I was feeling quite angry and I could hear it in my tone. We were talking about shop flow / marketing, etc. And what is the expectations around that, my side and theirs. So the first thing to understand, the full moon's kind of been and gone. Robin, we can't really blame the full moon at the moment. I think we're sort of in a phase that's, we're out of full moon. That was a good excuse towards the end of last week. But Wednesday this week, it's not such a good excuse. But anyway, whatever works, right? Excuses are always good to help take the burden off our shoulders that there's actually something quote unquote wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with us. We're just going through a process of clearing. Hey, Sister Mary. Hey, Sandra, how are you? I thought you might be at yoga this morning. Obviously not. Or maybe you are going to be. It's only 9:05. You have time. Marie's already gone, but that doesn't mean you have. Anyway, so here we are talking about this anger that's arising for dear Sister Emily as she's talking about something that doesn't seem very personal, right? Because you're talking about, the shop flow and marketing for someone else's shop that she's practicing in, right? It's a spiritual, center more than a shop. So what's the anger around, Emily? That's the question. Cool. Enjoy your yoga this morning, Sandra, and enjoy whatever we have to share before you get there. So basically, when anger arises, the first question to ask ourselves is, instead of making ourselves wrong for anger, right, is to come to or ask the question, what do I perceive? Or what needs of mine do I perceive are not being met in this situation, in this experience? what aspect of this situation is triggering the anger in me, because basically anger is a survival technique. So there's some aspect of the conversation that somehow triggers an idea that you are going to get diminished in some way, right? Ripped off, not appreciated, not have your needs met, right? Perceived needs, not actual needs, right? Anger is designed to help us achieve our actual needs, right? If someone's trying to take the food off us that we need to survive the winter, then we get angry and we fight them to keep that food, right? Because it's a need. If someone's threatening us physically, then we get anger to give us the energy to fight, to protect ourselves, right? That's what anger's designed for. That's how animals use anger, right? It's to fight off threats to their survival. It's the same for us. But now with our advanced logical mind, we perceive a lot of situations as potentially threatening when they're not really physically threatening or even survival threatening. They're basically threatening our identity. They're threatening our stories. They're threatening our perceptions of what we need to be successful. Because in today's society, we have amalgamated success with survival. We don't really differentiate the two, because for us to survive, we need to kind of be successful in our minds, right? Not in reality. In reality, it's much easier to actually survive, to get the food and the shelter that you require to keep on living, than we think, right? And while, some people definitely are in survival situations, especially worldwide, for most of us who are listening to this right now, if you have a device that is capable of listening to me over the internet, then you are probably not in, desperate survival situations, but your success is being questioned. And we all think we need to be successful in order to be good, right, and proper, which is our survival in this society, right? We want to be accepted by society because that has also been programmed into us. So, Emily, I was hoping you were going to type something into me by now about what you felt or what feels inside of you, what's stimulating this anger. Oh, there it goes. Just as I looked down, I saw it go flying through. Right, so the perception is, I'm going to put that in front of what you wrote, and I haven't even read it properly yet. I need a lot of help, and I realize I am refusing help if I have to do something that feels scary. I'm refusing help if I have to do something that feels scary. I was hearing me say, whoa, there's a lot there. I was hearing me, holy shit, Emily, what are you doing to me? I was hearing me say that I have space at home, I could do this. It began by me, don't. I'm trying to scroll down through this in a sensible way. It began by me asking if my client could use the FPOS, and they can't due to logistical stuff on their end. And it's okay, but that started a convo about marketing, etc. And I just hit this feeling of, you won't help me and I'm out. They will and are helping. And what it came down to was I was angry at me for not doing my bits that would keep the flow moving. Also, my flyer, a bio post, I want my handheld for every step of this. And also, I don't feel to share my story yet, in that I have been shrouded in my victim mentality for years as I clear it. Essentially, I realize I feel I deserve special treatment and understanding due to what's happened to me. Blah, disempowered as awesome. Okay, so I apologize to everyone for my, reasonably average reading abilities. I will get back to you, Mary, and Sister Kelly. Welcome, Sister Kelly. So anyway, awesome realizations, Em. And the first thing to say is please, please, please be compassionate with yourself. Understand that as you have stepped forward into this big expansion, right? Offering your services out one-on-one as a facilitator of transformation, as a energy worker, healer, whatever we want to call you, or whatever you want to call yourself, which is more important, that you will have triggered a whole heap of disempowered stuff from within you, and it will be arising. And there's going to be a lot of self-judgment around the fact that you're not doing well enough, right? And that is very easily projected out onto others. So you're feeling judgmental against yourself, and then someone who you was hoping was going to help you, but in some ways you're kind of resisting their help anyway, right? Because that's this push-pull thing going on. Basically states that they can't help you in this instance, e.g. they don't have the FPOS facility so that your client can pay you easily through them, then you want to project your self-disappointment, because really you should have sorted yourself out with, PayPal or something like that, which I'm pretty sure you have, and all you really need to do is give your PayPal email to your client and they can pay you, right? Or they can bring cash, or you can just basically state what the situation is. So, but from our ego, from our mind's ego, right? And I do this all the time as well, so I'm not pointing you out as special in any way, not especially bad anyway. I know you're special, but not especially, wrong. Our egos tend to feel self-judgment and then want to project it outside of us. So we pick a blame point, which, in this case was very easily the shop owner, and you could feel angry towards her for not being able to help you. And yet you also recognize that you're resisting her help. And perhaps, as you progress and as you work through your resistance and this feeling that it's basically what you're stepping into is dangerous from your egoic point of view, and so you don't really want to get too much help, because you might get too big too fast and then someone might cut you down, of course, or something else will happen, or you will misuse your power, or whatever whatever. We don't really need to dig too deep into exactly what is the resistance. All we need to do is really accept that there is resistance, and then to be compassionate as we choose to move through it. Now, compassionate as we move through it is bringing allowance into the fact that we have resistance, but not choosing to surrender to the resistance, right? Not allowing the resistance overtake us and us be inert in it, but rather to maintain, right, this balance point that I've talked about quite a bit recently, this balance between being, disciplined with our intention to keep moving forward, and yet at the same time balancing out with compassion and allowance for the fact that it's not easy to move forward and it's not comfortable to move forward, and we need to dance with the discomfort and the dis-ease, as in, it's not easy to move forward, right? To be compassionate and yet still keep choosing to do it, right? Choosing to do it and then allowing ourselves to quote unquote fail, right? That's basically what it comes down to. We choose to do something and then we don't do it very well because the resistance was stopping us from doing it well. But if we just keep wanting to hold back until we think we've cleared all that resistance, so then we can do it without failing, it's going to take us a lot longer than to just basically step forward into a situation where we're basically, up against it in terms of success from an egoic point of view, but we choose to step into the breach and try as best we can while maintaining compassion for this fact that our ego is going to be disappointed with the outcome, right? I'm just going through a whole range of similar shit around, feeling disappointed with some outcomes that have arisen in my life, and now, wanting to ego just wants to throw the towel in and say, what the frick's the point, but now I'm having to maintain the maturity to go, all of that disappointment, all of that quote unquote perceived failure that's just happened has actually helped me step through resistance if I can manage to obviously I don't like talking about my own stuff too much because my throat's just clamming up. It's not a lie. If I can manage to maintain an empowered attitude towards the fact that I'm feeling really disappointed, I'm feeling really what the frick's the point, I'm feeling really hopeless, useless, worthless, and I know before you have to write in and say, Matt, you're not hopeless, useless, worthless, I know that, but it doesn't change how I'm feeling. So the point is for us all to recognize that we don't feel reality. We feel vibrations from the past more than anything. We feel what we're releasing. We feel what we've been carrying forever. It's not the reality of now. It feels like reality, but it's not. It's residues from the past. We feel more of what we're releasing than what we're actually stepping into. And that's what makes the whole process so friggin' hard. It's hard because we don't get good feedback that we're actually making good progress. Yeah, I saw that too out of the corner of my eye. I don't know what it was or who it was. Yeah, just sort of went through here, through that part of the frame. Don't know if it was a bit of dust or what. We could call it spirit if we wanted to get woo-woo. Anywho, the point is, because I was on a bit of a rant, the point is to be compassionate with yourself and to keep stepping forward, to recognize the anger there and to just work in an empowered way, right? Awesome, Em. I do know there's a few questions that have scrolled through or comments, and I will get back to it. Thank you, Chris, for pointing out the thing flying behind me for everyone else. It was great to start noticing, this is from Emily, by the way. It was great to start noticing something was up straight away in the moment and handled it all well humanly. She definitely understood it was not in my mind about them at all, and I even left it open and didn't poke into the fact there are some dropped pieces on their end too, as it was not the right time. That's a very good result for me. Well done. So celebrating that good result. Happy to let this go. My responsibility to move. Happy to let this go. It's my responsibility to move me to where I can be helped by others. Yes, and you're going to do that as you keep choosing to step forward and to help others, right? Which is what you did. Because the awesome bit that I want to point out, Em, is this was happening, right? This whole trigger thing was happening right before you went in to do your very first one-on-one session in this space with someone, right? And you still had a great outcome for your client, right? And so the point is that I want to make as the bigger point for you to celebrate is that you're a fantastic facilitator, and doesn't matter what's going on in your life around you beforehand, you step into the role and you came up with the goods, right? And you helped someone else. And the point is that as you keep choosing to maintain your intention and your attitude around what is your big why, you know, why is this important for you to be able to take the money and do that and to get the brochure out? Because you want to help people, right? Coming back to the foundations here, if you want to really show up in your light as a facilitator and do it, right? And do it. So that's your big why, and it's going to really help you to take the emphasis off yourself, Em, when you think you're failing and you haven't got your ducks in a row and you haven't written your bio, you haven't put the posts out on Facebook, and you haven't really, and I'm pushing the button, or Mantara's pushing your buttons too, to step forward, to step up, to make it bigger, right? To publish your flyers and your brochures and to promote yourself, right? And I know that's really triggering, and that's why we're doing it, not out of discompassion, but out of, intent for you to really get into doing what you love and what we know you're going to love, even though it's scary to do it at first. But the point is, to take the emphasis off your resistance to that and to bring the emphasis back as often as you can to the big outcome that you're desiring to have, which is to be basically a facilitator on this planet to help others, right? And of course, you're going to feel really joyful in that, and that's the point of it all, right? To express yourself in an expansive, joyful state. But as you step into doing what you're here to do, and start attracting the clientele to you, the right clientele, the clientele who really appreciate you, then all of the little annoyances along the way of having to step through our resistance and to get the externalities of running a business sorted out, right? And there's plenty of them. You don't have to ask me, right? Or there's a lot of time that we spend disentangling our resistances to doing the do of running a business so that we get the pleasure of doing what we're here to do, of service, right? And while at some point in time maybe we can get people to help us, that comes with its own shit as well, right? Its own resistances as well. The point is, there's always going to be elements of quote unquote sacrifice or elements of discomfort around doing our highest service or our biggest joy on this planet. And so the point is to move through that discomfort and resistance in an empowered way, because we're maintaining our intention and our attention on the big outcome, which is the joy that we feel as we're facilitating, the joy and the satisfaction we get from helping others, the joy and the prosperity that comes through living our life in a purposeful way. Does that make sense? I need to drink. Yeah, so awesome, right? Now I'm going to try and scroll back and pick up some other questions. I think Mary had one that I missed. Was that it from Mary, or was there another one? No, here it is. Matt, this is from Mary Sykes. Matt, I am seeing that the fear I am feeling is so much created by my thoughts of the future. Any suggestions to see through it? Okay, I'm actually going to contradict you, Mary, and I'm actually going to say that your fear that you're feeling was created in the past, and your thoughts are trying to justify the fear that you're feeling as it arises from you within you, as it comes up to basically clear. You've got fear from basically created from past experiences where you were persecuted or you didn't have your needs met, right? You basically, something went wrong and you suffered in the past. That memory energetically has been stored in your being. It's arising now to be released as your vibration rises into more expansive version of yourself. It can't basically stay hidden any longer. It's arising up and the fear's coming up and your mind's going, oh my God, where's this fear coming from? And your mind can't see anything around you that's scary. So what else can your mind do? It projects into the future and says, this could go wrong, this could go wrong, this could go wrong in the future. Therefore, we're scared. Right? It's justifying the fear that you're feeling as it arises out of your being from the past, right? By projecting into the future that things could go wrong in the future. And therefore, it's justifiable that you feel scared. Now, if you can retrain your brain to every time you feel the fear, remember this is just coming up from the past to be released. And this is a word, that I like to use a lot for myself, release. This is coming up to release. Because as soon as you say release, you can actually feel it start to release. When you choose to believe that it's coming up to release, it starts to release, right? But if you allow your mind to keep perpetuating this bullshit story that the future's really scary and dangerous, the fear has now a justification for staying. Because the fear is actually now justified in staying because the future is dangerous according to your mind. And now you start recognizing, oh, my mind is thinking worrisome things about the future. It's creating the fear. And now you're doubling back on yourself and making yourself doubly wrong, which is basically keeping another fear in place, which is this fear that I can't control my mind and it's creating this fear in me, right? So the point is when you feel fearful and you notice that your mind is projecting into the future, is to first and foremost take 2 deep breaths before you think anything else, right? Stop thinking and relax, right? Take some breaths and relax, and then remind yourself that the fear that is stimulating these thoughts of the future is actually fear from the past, and that's already happened. And this fear is arising to be released out of my field, and all I need to do is relax and give it the space for it to be felt and released. Because if we can feel the fear without finding a reason for feeling fearful, a valid reason for feeling fearful, right? As in, oh, the future's dangerous. That's actually a valid reason for being fearful. But you understand that it's only a summation, it's only a projection, it's only a thought, because you don't actually know that the future is dangerous, right? It's only a belief that the future might be dangerous, and perhaps the odds are that the future is dangerous, but basically none of us know the future, and we're all being manipulated to think various things about the future. We're all being fed constantly with information about the future, which is other people's projections, which are quite often manipulative to keep the population in fear, because fearful people are easy to control. Fearful people tend to purchase things. Right? It keeps the wheels of the economy turning. It keeps the structure of the governance, which is not actually our elected government, but the people who have the money above that, in place. So if you want to cut out of that, you need to recognize that the fear that you're feeling is basically coming up from your past, and that the process for moving forward is to recognize that consistently and and letting it go and allowing it to let go, to find allowance for the fact that I'm feeling fearful. And it's not wrong that I'm feeling fearful. It's not wrong that I'm actually feeling not good enough this morning. I was actually quite depressed when I woke up. That's not wrong. It's uncomfortable. I don't like it, but it's not wrong because it's part of the process of me releasing a whole heap of stuff. The truth is I've been creating a new offering, right? A new free, what we call a lead magnet, right? A piece of content that is of high value that I know is going to help a lot of people, and I'm going to put it out there into the marketplace. But it's also quite a vulnerable expose of me, and I'm going to basically start advertising it on Facebook, on social media, right? So anyone can get their hands on this, and I'm actually encouraging people to get their hands on this, to use it, because I know it's valuable, but at the same time, I feel very vulnerable. So in that triggering, that's something that's going on that I'm doing, but I recognize how much of my not good enough and, low self-worth that is basically, that I'm basically triggering within me. So while I could get into my head and start making stories about why I'm feeling so, vulnerable, not worthy, and it's because of this, and I'm not good enough with that, and, conversations that's happened with my wife, and all sorts of reasons that could go down. Ultimately, I have to recognize, if I want to be comfortably sane, I have to recognize that these vibrations are basically arising out of the past to be cleared, and it's part of my transformation into freedom, into real empowered freedom, into an authentic confidence, that this stuff has to arise. And my job is to stay somewhat neutral to it as it's arising, so that I can relax and allow the energies to release, right? Because when we relax, our energetic body opens up, and when our energetic body opens up, vibrations can shift, right? And if we contracted it in the wrongness of what we're feeling is wrong, then I'm just trying to adjust my exposure, which I don't enjoy when it overexposes. If we can stay stuck in the space of the wrongness of it, then we contract and nothing shifts very quickly. We get stuck in contraction. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Thank you, Mary. That's awesome. Whatever. I'm trying to get back to the start now. I'll make sure I don't miss anything on the way. Yeah, exactly, Mary. You've had all sorts of things happen in the past, and getting killed was probably one of the more pleasant ones. Some of us have been locked in dungeons for months, if not years, and tortured in all sorts of ways. Awesome. Well done, Sister Jeanette. You can go back to the start too when this is finished. Awesome. Emily wrote in, I have done this, Mary Sykes, and it helped. And I helped it by taking time to send a lot of love into my future, that things will work for me. The things will work for me, etc. Building the fielding tone and intend to send it down your timeline, and asking your higher self to remove all fear projections too, as well as Matt's in the moment advice. That's changed my life with this fear factory I can do. Hey, Sister Elizabeth, how are you? Awesome, Mary. Yeah, so exactly, Mary. So you left another group, and so that has triggered this. But understand that leaving the group wasn't a wrongness. It's basically an empowered action to take. And now, because you've just taken an empowered action, your vibration has risen, and all of the guilt and fear has arisen as a release, right? As a release. So understand that when we do something that's empowered, we have a negative pushback from vibrations that we've been carrying within us from the past. So don't take it as a wrongness, and choose not to be resentful or upset about the fact that you're feeling guilt and fear arise. It's actually a good sign. It's actually a great sign. Just as I was expressing a minute before about, how I finally made that video yesterday, and I'm friggin' not happy with it, I have to say. But I'm not happy with it. I watched it back, again, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I just... right, very self-judgmental, but and I'm also feeling all of my not good enough arise around this, which is filtering my perception of it, which is making me think that it's not good enough because I'm actually feeling not good enough because I've basically done something that's very good. Right? I've done something that's very good. It's triggered all of these feelings of not good enough from within me because they can't stay inside of me as I do something really good. It arises, then I look back at what I've done and choose to basically tint it with my not good enough perception of myself now, and start to point at all the little things that could be better in that video. Sorry, I just had another couple of comments come across my screen. You need to feel and trust in yourself, Mary, and that's it. Yeah, and it's a good point. Emily wrote in and said, basically, choose to take in helpful info. With my disposition, I look at zero fear-based material consciously. It costs me too much. And it's very wise, right, to limit our exposure to sources of fear-based information, right? Especially if we know that it's, and it doesn't really serve any of us, but sometimes, at some point in our experience, it is going to serve us to, transmute energies around this. But for most of us, most of the time, we have to be very, very conscious about allowing ourselves to be exposed to fear-based programming. Yes, killed for speaking the truth. Exactly, Mary. For some reason, cannot see all the comments. I know. I don't even know if I see all the comments. Exactly, Jeanette wrote in, done is better than perfect, Matt. And that's exactly, I think, what I told myself last night. And yet I'm still toying with the idea of trying to do it again, even though I have my intuition is that another go at it won't be any better. In fact, it'd probably be less. But still, my mind is not happy with what I've produced. So I just have to, it's just a dance. Awesome, Mary. I love that you're sharing your resistance with me as well, because that's what we're here to do, to move through it. Hey, Sister Sandhya. I am basically out of time, and I'm just trying to get to the end of the comments. Awesome. I've got your husband's approval. That's good news for me, Mary. And I'm glad I make sense. Yeah, I'll answer your questions in a minute, I think, Sandhya. Because I don't think it's just about the feminine, because I get the same sort of shit happening to me. Maybe a little bit different, but basically the same, right? So just understand that that's resistance, and I'll talk. I noticed that there's a question comes through on Messenger, and I'll get onto that because I'm out of time, and that's another big sticky topic that maybe we could talk about another time. Yeah, it's basically spam, exactly. It's probably not as bad as you think, Sandhya. It's probably not a direct attack, but basically from your perception, because you've done something risky in your mind, right? You're putting yourself out there exactly like M, that it's very easy to then feel that someone's directly attacking you, because inside of you, you're already open to that. You're already scared that that's what's going to happen. I don't even think of myself as a teacher, Mary. So you can tell that to your husband. Basically, Mary wrote in, my hubby says your honesty makes you a good teacher. I'm not here to teach anything. I just basically share and you learn. I'm not indoctrinating anyone with any information. Teachers indoctrinate people with information. That's nothing against teachers, but the basic principle of teaching is to impart intellectual knowledge, and I don't impart intellectual knowledge. I ask questions and I share my perspective basically to stimulate your own wisdom, right? Your own remembrance and your own cognitive remembrance or understanding of what's true for you. I don't teach, because teaching would mean that I'm basically telling you what's true and what's false, and I don't do that. Could call me an educator, but even education, I don't like the whole, I'm a good sharer. I'm a good sharer, as opposed to shearer. I don't shear sheep either. I haven't tried, and I don't intend to. It seems a bit nasty, poor sheepy, but I do like wool, so it's a bit of a catch-22. Anyway, sheep need shearing if they live in warmer climates. Anyway, point being, my friends, I'm well over time now. I'm going to get off this. I'll take lovely human. I don't think I can own the title of master either, Emily Rose, because I have not mastered much. There's still a long way for me to grow in all areas of my life. Mastery is, I don't believe anyone ever reaches mastery. I don't think master is a particularly accurate term to apply to anyone. But point being, we all have great information. We all have great wisdom. We all have things to share. I have chosen to consciously step through my resistance and to show up here and do it, but you could all be doing the same. I am not particularly special, even though, I agree that I have quite intentionally chosen in a dedicated way to step past my resistance to doing this. That's all. That's it. And, I honour that fact in me, and I do appreciate that about myself. It's not that I'm putting myself down here, but I'm encouraging you guys not to put me up, right? I don't need to put myself down, but you don't need to put me up. All you need to do is appreciate what I do and choose to take that on board as we're not doing the life of Brian. Don't start me on that. But the point... No, I'm not. I'm going to say goodbye. Much love to you all, my friends. Goodbye for now. You're not the Messiah.